always ask him to come to class, and there's a reason. Because I really think he is what I consider someone who really embodies the entrepreneurial spirit. He's a graduate, he's an alum. He graduated in 1994, and he was sitting in my class. I just asked him. He was sitting in my class in 1991, and that's the year I started.
Yeah.
What do you mean, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. It was my first class, was like 1991, and I was teaching, was it in January or September? And I taught adjunct in January, and then what they did was the students, they gave me such a good evaluation that I ended up hiring me in September of 1991. And I'm still here. So Anthony was sitting in that class. He was sitting in that class, and that's what we were talking about. Anthony is someone that never forgets about Fordham. And I think, please don't forget about Fordham. Come back and just, share your experiences, and also just give back in terms of your successes. I asked him to come here and talk about the entrepreneurial spirit and the mindset of the entrepreneur, because no one really talked about it. They talked about entrepreneurship, didn't we? But we really didn't talk about entrepreneurship. And so I really thought it might be interesting for Anthony to come in. I said to you that he's a friend. He is. After all these years, we've worked together, we've had lots of sushi together, and we've planned together. So I ask you, please, if you could take some notes. I don't know what the extra credit's going to be, but it's going to be something about you, something about you. And Anthony, just thank you for coming here and spending the time. And enjoy this. Thank you. Anthony Labas.
It's great to be here. How you guys doing? Okay, everyone awake. I know it's like midterm. You have midterms already? Mm-hmm. So now you're in the home stretch of this fall semester. What do you think of with mindset? Anyone? What comes to mind, no pun intended, with mindset?
Your thought process.
Definitely. So going with that, thought process, do you think that you can have a different thought process when things happen? In what way do you think mindset?
Well, I think that the mindset that you take can change your lens or your perspective that you have on the issue, and you might approach that issue in a different way based on the mindset.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a great way of explaining it. So here, I have a definition of mindset, right? So I'm going to talk today about entrepreneurship and the mindset of entrepreneurs. And mindset is so important because it transcends not only entrepreneurship, but also school, personal, other business, family, everything like that. Having a good mindset is the whole key to being successful. And as an entrepreneur, how do you think mindset affects entrepreneurs?
Well, they're going to face struggles and challenges. If you have a mindset where you can adapt to and overcome obstacles, you can probably be successful.
What ways do you, and that's great. What ways do you think you can, so you're talking about a positive mindset. How do you think that you can keep a positive mindset, not be brought down by the failures, by lots of different elements?
Maybe remember why you wanted to start and go out by yourself in the first place.
Yeah.
Remember why you're doing it.
Yeah, I like that. I know you were going to say something too, or someone was. No?
Yeah, he basically just caps up my thing, but I was just going to say, the mindset dictates the fate of an entrepreneur as a whole. Your mindset determines your success.
How many aspiring entrepreneurs are in the room? I'll come back to that. Awesome. Entrepreneurship is definitely not easy. So you're constantly highs, lows, in between. And my challenge in life is staying even. And the whole key to mindset is, I feel, I saw this on LinkedIn recently, your mindset is your biggest asset that you have. And I'm going to set the stage here with mindset and how important it is, and then I'll go into entrepreneurship and have discussions with you guys and stuff like that. But mindset is such a great foundation, and I really think it's underestimated how important that is, because you guys at your young age right now, continuing to just try and realizing that mindset is such a big asset to you will pay dividends for you in the long run, right? So you always want to, let me ask you a question. Do you want to make a decision when things are foggy or when things are sunny? I think I kind of know the answer, but just think about that for a second. I think the answer is that you want to always be able to be in a mindset where things are sunny. But that's not going to always be the case. That's probably a slide for me, right? Because I tend to, a lot of times, things are foggy when you're making decisions, and it's not always the best way to make decisions. But unfortunately, like you were saying too, like you want to be able to, I guess, almost like have a popcorn trail, if you will, to be able to get back to why you're doing what you do, and things like that to keep you to really stay even. And that's really the whole key to really everything. And I think one person that exemplifies staying even, do you know who this guy is? Roger Federer, right? So can someone tell me before I explain this, how tennis and entrepreneurship are related, or how they can be? Anyone? All right.
Well, like as a player, you could like build your own brand.
Yeah, definitely. That's one way. But even other ways, right? So Roger Federer is, obviously he's 21 Grand Slams. He's got the most Grand Slams ever. Now Nadal is very close to him too. But really, like, the thing with Roger Federer is that he can be down 2 sets, right? And tennis players deal with struggles. They deal with failure. They deal with being behind the 8 ball. Every game, every match for him is not the match that's he's going to win 3 sets, no problem, 3-0. No, there are a lot of times he's down 2-0, 2 sets to love, as they say in tennis. But he keeps a positive mindset, and he's able to, as long as he's physically able, he's able to motor through everything. So the parallel that I see with tennis and entrepreneurship is that you have struggles, you have failures, and you have to rely on yourself. You have a team, but that team is not on the court with you as well, if that makes sense. So, just food for thought, right? So, as Dr. Z said, I went to Fordham, but I'm from Long Island. 2 words, not 1 word. And I'm from a place called Flow Park on Long Island, and I worked in the fish store. At 12 years old, my mother walked me down to the local fish store, and a couple months into my job, the owner of the fish store had given me the key to the store to open the store in the morning. The alarm went off because obviously in the 80s there was no internet, no wireless. You had to actually go and shut things off on your own. But at that moment, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know what the word meant, but that was my calling. So I've been chasing that since I'm 12 years old. And it's been a great journey, it still is. But that was a very important part of my life, right? So I went to Chaminade. I don't know if you guys know Chaminade at all. Are you a flyer?
No.
Okay. You know Chaminade?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I get it. Fordham twice, right? 94. Gabelli in 06. I started the Entrepreneur Society with a bunch of my friends in grad school. It was awesome. And And these are some of my influences, right? So I think a lot of these are probably before you guys are born. But does anything here look familiar to you guys?
AOL.
AOL, American Online, yes, essentially getting people enabled to the internet through dial-up access. You guys don't even know dial-up access, but before you had broadband, you actually had to, it was pretty much you had to dial, like literally get a phone and almost put it on top of like an old school modem in order to dial and access the internet. It was crazy. Anyone else?
Y2K.
Y2K. What year were you guys born? 2000? Yeah, so Y2K, right? You were born in Y2K. And, Y2K is amazing too. So Cosmo.com, you guys probably don't know that, but that was the first, that's my favorite internet company of all time. And Cosmo.com, first of all, the name came from Cosmo from Cosmo Kramer from Seinfeld. But that was a delivery service, and you would basically order CDs because there was no music to download, although Napster probably was, you can download, but there was no Bluetooth, no nothing. So you would have to go to your computer, maybe dial up, and you'd be able to order like a CD, some ice cream, and they would deliver it in under an hour. It was amazing. Now, they couldn't sustain their growth and they wouldn't have a minimum on delivery, so it kind of went belly up, but it was still an amazing, I mean, you look at Amazon today and what they do with Amazon Prime, it all stemmed from this. And really people's need for wanting things immediately. These are companies that I've worked for in my career. Any of these companies look familiar to you? Anyone?
Cisco.
Cisco, yes. They powered the internet. They still do. And all these companies here are technology companies. So I've spent my entire career in technology, which is really exciting. So those two up top, well, Town Telecom and Level 3 Communications, they were startups in the mid to late 90s, and it was really exciting to see how they built fiber essentially to set the stage for broadband today, to enable houses, enable the global network in order to facilitate the internet for everyone. So it's pretty wild. Anyway, I know you guys talked about entrepreneurship, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I'm going to give you an example of what do you guys know, real quick before I get into this, what do you know about entrepreneurship?
You know, because it was part of the project.
Yeah.
Somebody just say something.
I mean, you guys should know this. You just one of her, right? All right, everyone's going to get an F now. Sorry. So basically, entrepreneurship technically means that you are starting a company within a big company. So a big company provides all resources, funding, people, technology, whatever it is, to get a business launched. Now, as a salesperson, I've been in sales for 20 plus years. When you're in sales and work for a big company, you run your own business, essentially, in a company. So at Cisco, when I was running my own territory business, I then created my own blog. And I called the blog Lobo Cisco. And it was very successful. I drew a lot of my clients and partners and stakeholders, all of those great big words that are so important, that was meaningful to a lot of different people. It also drove some business to me as well. But more importantly, what do you think that also did? Anyone in marketing here? You said it before. you said something about marketing before, personal branding. And that kind of set the stage for me in terms of, my last name is Labasco. So I started a brand, Lobo, Cisco. I have like lots of Lobo now, types of blogs and stuff like that too. So that kind of set the stage for my personal brand. Reason for everything here that I'm talking about is that you always, if you guys heard this before from Steve Jobs, you can't connect the dots forward, looking forward. You can only connect them moving backwards, looking backwards. Anyone know what that means?
You can't expect to have a plan for how everything's going to work out in the first place when you start on whatever road you're going on. You can then make those connections looking back on what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, for the most part, we're not, I mean, as much as I would love to predict the future and look ahead and say I can connect these dots moving forward, you can't do it. You can only connect them moving backwards. So I'm not saying looking back and knowing where you came from, knowing what motivates you. For me, knowing the fish store was my moment in terms of stemmed to be an entrepreneur. That was my calling, if you will. Knowing all that, like everything you do matters. And that's important to understand where you came from, because it's going to help you to navigate in the future too. So, I'll put a pause here, because I tend to talk a lot. Any questions? Everyone's still awake? You guys good? All right, so getting back to, we have a couple of aspiring entrepreneurs. What are you guys interested in on the entrepreneur side? Are you interested in restaurants, technology, finance, marketing?
Me personally, for the past couple of years, I've always wanted to work to have my own moving company, moving furniture.
No way, that's great.
That's my that would be a long-term goal for the future.
So let me ask you a question. Would you try and do something in that vein, if you will, and incorporate technology and applications and apps to make it easier for people to find you and reach you and get a mover and things like that?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, one of the biggest areas that the moving company lacks is its marketing. Well, especially like with home moving and stuff, storage, you have the storage places. But yeah, being able to have apps and websites that people can easily access will for sure boost the traction you get.
That's awesome. Why was that an interest
I
of?
mean, I've been working at a moving company for like 5-6 years, and
That's
it's just,
awesome.
It's fun. I mean, it's
Yeah.
really fun. It's cool how these things work.
So funny, when you're in a moving company. I worked in a fish store. I didn't parlay my fish business or experience, if you will, into an app or anything like that, because I'm much older than you guys. So technology was not there. I love the idea, and just take something and think about how you can serve and make people's lives easier, and even do something you love. I mean, that's a key. So, anyone else?
I actually started a jewelry company a couple of years ago.
Oh,
I mean,
no
it's
way.
not major, but it's kind of like a side thing that I do. And I also started doing, I have a lot of friends that are artists. I live in New York City. So I started like this thing where like people can connect and you can manage artists and you can help them like kind of grow their publicity and stuff, and it kind of feeds off each other. And we're setting up shows and events.
That's awesome. Do you find that artists typically are not really interested too much, or have a good idea about like how to market themselves well and using technology to their benefit?
It's like I look at my friends and stuff. Sometimes I go over and there's playing PlayStation, and I'm like, you're an artist. Like you decided not to go to college for a reason. You decided not to do this.
Yeah.
And, like you guys don't have like a clear vision of what you want. So I just feel like they need like someone to like watch over them, to give them the support they need, someone that can be on top
Awesome.
of them. I mean, I saw that with a lot of people, so I was like, why can't like I create something for that?
So are you an artist?
I'm not.
You're not, but so you helping people market and making their dreams come true and things like that is what really motivates you, if you will. And you focus on the art community because a lot of your friends are
Yeah, exactly.
in the art. Cool. That's great. That's awesome. Anyone else? So, thanks guys. You know, what it comes down to, right? And I love this slide. I kind of love it and I hate it, but I'm probably gonna have it on again. But when you look at startups and you look at people that want to start their own business, generally, let's call it, and being optimistic, 8 out of 10 people that start businesses fail. And if someone actually explained to me that that was the case, what I have done, I guarantee people probably did. When you're an entrepreneur and you're so focused and passionate about what you're trying to accomplish and do, you kind of listen to all the negativity, if you will. You have to just do it. And, you know, and that kind of brings me into entrepreneurship, you know, in general, right? I mean, there's so many definitions of entrepreneurship, but, you know, being an entrepreneur, you're going to live your life like most people won't for a couple of years. People looked at me cross-eyed when and I'll get into what I tried to accomplish and what I'm still doing right now. They looked at me cross-eyed like, what's wrong with you? Why would you ever put your savings into something and do something you don't even know if you're going to make money off it, things like that? They won't do it. But you know what? You get better at failing, if you will, and doing certain things and not doing it right. I mean, that's the key. So one day, you can live your life like no one else will, like no one else, like people can't. And that's really important. And you know, when I was kind of going through this too, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind in that respect is probably money. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be the guy who makes millions and millions of dollars and it's gonna be great, no one's gonna live life like this. Money aside, what is success to you?
The legacy I leave behind.
Great, I love it. Cool.
The impact of reward toward the society.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else?
Doing something you enjoy doing.
Yeah. That's like the holy grail of if you can do something you love and have all the great things of leaving a legacy and, you know, for the greater good, having an impact on the greater good in life. I mean, that's the key. Now, you don't want to starve or, you know, when you're my age, you have a family, mortgage, all these stuff. People are relying on you in order to make good decisions, if you will, right? So, you know, not getting off topic here, but now is the time, guys and girls, for you guys, since you're young, and assuming, and I'm saying assuming because some people in your age too have other people that are dependent on you, but if you don't, now's the time to go and try and do something on your own. So, have you guys studied Peter Drucker at all?
Eventually, it's not now.
Anyone hear about Peter Drucker? Name familiar? That's a good name for you guys to know and remember one day, because Peter Drucker is the godfather of management. And he was, I think he was born in, I don't know, 1920 maybe. I mean, he was an older guy, but his philosophies were amazing. He wrote this one book called Innovation in Entrepreneurship, and he he captured entrepreneurship in this one sentence. Entrepreneurship is neither an art or a science, it's a practice. What does that mean to you guys? Anyone want to take a stab at it?
Maybe saying the best teacher's experience, like you have to practice things, like fail with them and experience them to get better at it.
Definitely. Definitely.
In terms of it being like not a science if you can't study it, in terms of it not being an art, you're probably not gifted with it, but practice makes perfect, so as long as you keep putting in the work, you're gonna get somewhere.
Boom. Love it. Nice, guys. Anyone else? So I'll be honest with you, I didn't really fully understand this until I failed, until I realized what my passions were, and really coming up with the fact that I am an entrepreneur. Even though I was launching businesses or attempting to and having some success and failures and things like that, until I practiced it over and over again, that didn't really make sense. And I studied Drucker in grad school and read his books and things like that too. But when you're in a classroom and you hear about these things, yeah, it makes sense. But until you do it on your own and you see what it means to practice entrepreneurship, because you really can't, like, you can learn as much as you want in a classroom, but the reality is that you have to practice entrepreneurship. Make sense? Sort of? Oh yeah. So when you're like part of the process, you have to be committed to it, and that's the key too. So right now I'm going to talk about my road a little bit. So coming back to entrepreneurship specifically, I think it's going to be more exciting about this too, in terms of like real life examples of failure, of starting businesses and things like that too. You know, when you look at my road has a lot of potholes, and it's not a smooth road, right? Because most entrepreneurs, they don't have smooth roads. Maybe there's one or two, but the vast majority have roads like this, if not even worse. So, you know, I graduated at Fordham grad school in '07. Very proud day for myself and my family. And in '07, I decided to leave my six-figure job, just go into the unknown and start a business. And I wrote 5 business plans. I started the Entrepreneur Society here in classrooms like you, while sitting to entrepreneurs like myself. I'm so psyched. I got this. I know exactly what I'm doing. So I actually did, so here it is, a slide again, right? So you know where I'm going with this. Failure, 8 out of 10 people that start businesses fail. But the only way to learn entrepreneurship is to, you know, entrepreneurs, what we do is that we jump off a cliff and then we build a parachute on the way down. And yeah, that's pretty scary. I mean, I get it, but that's exactly what it's about. Now, your risk tolerance at your age versus my age is much different. Now, at my age, if I have a couple of $1 million in the bank, yeah, I'll go and try something, assuming it's not going to cost me $2 million to do something. But you get the idea that your risk tolerance is much lower at your age than at my age. So jumping off a cliff and building parachute on the way down is really what it comes down to with entrepreneurs. And I'm so happy I did what I did, because it really kind of takes the fear out of, the unknown of failing and things like that too. So Sir Richard Branson said that the best way to learn entrepreneurship or starting a business is by doing it. Or he said to learn something is to do it. You guys hear next door? So next door is valued right now at $2 billion. They, I think to date, have about 400 million in funding. And that's what I was trying to do in 07 and 06. I had a whole team. People were kind of lined up to give funding and things like that, but so I saw the name and the brand, Neighborbee. That's what happened. It was a colossal disaster, if you will. But it was a disaster only because there were so many people that were excited. I mean, you obviously know, we did a lot here at Fordham with Neighborbee. But you know, looking back on it and reflecting, I was more committed to the process of learning than I don't look back on it and say, oh my God, I'm a moron and I should be a billionaire today. And again, it comes back to mindset, right? Because you can have a negative mindset when you fail, when you do things, but you have to keep trucking and you have to keep moving forward. So what we did was, with Neighborbee, is that we created a blog called Neighborbee Blog, and that was actually successful. And that was, we had at our peak about 25,000 visitors a month. Unfortunately, I made no money doing it, right? But I didn't really know how. But it was successful in that respect. So that's still up and still active. I don't have really new content. Adam and I, or Adam, who is my videographer today, he and I have been trying to revitalize Neighborbee, if you will, around here. So, you know, you do things, you make mistakes, and you learn from them, and then you get better. I mean, that's the whole key of things. So, you know, I put this up here. When you look at failure, so let me ask you a question. By show of hands, who is afraid to fail? Or like, is failure like a really bad F word for you guys? Right? Anyone? Yeah, a lot of people. It stinks. Failing stinks. When I came to the realization that Neighborbee was not going to be successful at the time, it literally felt like someone had punched me really hard in my gut, and I was depressed. I mean, only for a couple of, maybe a week or two, and I kind of moved on. But I really felt bad. So really, failing stinks, but you don't really fail if you don't. Let me just think about what this says. I'll try to remember it instead of looking back. You can fail and fall down, but failure doesn't mean falling down. Failure means falling down and not getting up. Does that make sense? Right? I mean, I know it sounds cliche. It sounds like, oh, that's great, but if you were to fail a test today, not today, I'm not encouraging anyone to fail a test by any means, but if you do, it stinks. It totally stinks. I graduated in my high school at Chaminade in the bottom 5% of my graduating class. I went to grad school here and graduated in the top 5% of my class here at Fordham. I think 5%. Maybe that's not documented. Maybe 10%, but that being said, still much better than what I did at Chaminade. The point being is that you just have to keep moving forward and not get pulled down by certain things, by failure. So I say thank you, failure, because failure, you know, made me wiser, and it still makes me wise. So look at it that way too. Like any kind of failing, whether it's business, school, personal. I want to talk personal. I mean, You know, look at failing personally or even in school. Moving forward, there's always going to be a way. Things are always, not always, but if you fail, it's temporary. And that's a mindset you have to have, right? So that's how mindset really that's why it's so important. I feel mindset, like, you know, I'm sure a lot of you looked at the title Mindset of an Entrepreneur. Oh, yeah, of course. Always vision, you know, things that I'll kind of get into that too. Businesses I want to, or problems I want to solve and things I want to do, that's a mindset. No, I'm talking about the mindset of like when you fail, instead of it getting it down, being able to rise above it too. And actually use it as a fuel. So, have you guys heard the term failing up or failing forward? What does that mean to you?
Well, in athletics, for me, it's like if you don't do something correct, the next time that situation like repeats itself is to do it correctly. And that would be
Yeah.
failing up.
Yeah. So I saw this video actually, I think it was yesterday or the day before, from Denzel Washington, who is also a Fordham grad, if you guys didn't know. I'm assuming you guys know who Denzel Washington is, the actor. He gave a commencement speech at University of Pennsylvania, and he was talking about failing forward. And I heard failing up from one of my good buddies. He talked about failing up. I said, wow, what a great concept. What a great, I love that. And that's great that it's this sports analogy, metaphor too, in terms of getting better and using it to springboard ahead. But really, he talked about not being afraid to fail, and then using failure as a jumping board or a springboard, if you will, to do better in the future. And that's really what it comes down to. So, you know, I always say that have the courage to fail, right? It's so important to have the courage to fail. Because failing is not the end. Failing is not the worst thing in the world. I'm not encouraging everyone to be, yeah, I'm going to walk away from this and be a failure. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, if you don't try something, and you don't fail by doing it, you're actually not really attempting to do something. Oh no. Let's screw up. Okay. So failure happens. It's always going to happen no matter what. So embrace it and move past it, right? So this book I read, you ever hear of this book, Mindset, by Dr. Carol Dweck? So this book is standard reading for employees at Microsoft and many other big companies too. But what she talks about in here, and I won't really get into this too much, this is it, is a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And that is so important to you guys. So when you, by show of hands, if you were to fail a test, how many people would look at it black or white? Like, I could have passed at, what's passing, 65? 75? 65? Yeah, Shaman was 75.
Yep.
So, you know, if you get a 64 in the test, who's happy about that? Anyone? How long do you guys get down for failing a test? It sucks, right? It really sucks. I do. When I was sitting in your chairs at your age, I had a fixed mindset. I would see failure on tests and everything black and white. I failed, oh damn. All right, I have to get better. Oh, I don't know. What am I going to do? Oh boy. But growth mindset will embody people to look at failure and say, how I can get better. Now, at wisdom, your age, and things like that, help you get in that mindset, but that is a mindset that you guys have to get into at some point. So if you have an opportunity, read this book. It's really good. So anyway, filling up, Cisco, my dream job. Love Cisco. I was there for a little over 4 years. Phenomenal. Always wanted to do that. And now, today, I'm a partner in a small IT company. So my buddy and I, we're partners, and we are transforming universities, big companies on with their cloud, with their IT, with their technology, things like that. And that's something I've always wanted to do as well. So when you look at failure, and actually I'll even give you one more thing too. When I failed on Neighborby, and I'm like, I feel like I've been kicked in the gut and things like that. But when I was on the interview at Cisco, they said to me, wow, you failed, you were able to get up and do this and, continue in your career, things along those lines. And that was one of the reasons why they hired me, is that not obviously failing, but overcoming failure and even having the courage to do something like that and try to change the world, if you will. So anyway, here's a video that I have. How are we doing on time? You good?
Yeah,
Okay. I like Pokemon
my
movies.
favorite video.
Yeah,
One of.
it's a good one. All right. Let me just see. What's it doing with opening the lane? Oh, yeah. Got it. I knew it.
After being cut from his high school basketball team, he went home, locked himself in his room, and cried. He wasn't able to speak until he was almost 4 years old, and his teachers said he would never amount to much. Was demoted from her job as a news anchor because she wasn't fit for television. Fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination and having no original ideas. At age 11, he was cut from his team after being diagnosed with a growth hormone deficiency, which made him smaller in stature than most kids his age. At 30 years old, he was left devastated and depressed after being unceremoniously removed from the company he started. A high school dropout whose personal struggles with drugs and poverty culminated in an unsuccessful suicide attempt. A teacher told him he was too stupid to learn anything, and that he should go into a field where he might succeed by virtue of his pleasant personality. Rejected by many recording studios who said, "We don't like their sound, they have no future in show business." His first book was rejected by 27 publishers. His fiancée died, failed in business, had a nervous breakdown, and was defeated in 8 elections. never failed, you've never tried anything new.
Anything surprising to you guys on that? Do you like that video? Have you seen it before, anyone? It's a good one, right? You know, when you see all these successful people, you don't realize, you know, I love this iceberg metaphor because you only see the top of it. And you say all these people, they've been successful and look at their success, but you don't really see all the struggles and what they did to get to that point, right? So that's really what it comes down to, and you have to work hard at something. So follow your passion, but I always say follow your passion, but make sure you can make money off it if you are following your passion too. So anything that you can't really make money off of, I call a hobby. And I saw this actually yesterday online too. Do you know who Sarah Blakely is? Girls, anyone know? So Spanx, do you know Spanx? She invented Spanx, and she is a billionaire. I don't know what her net worth is, but she's awesome. And you know, one of the things she wrote here is that you have 3 hobbies. One you love, one to make money, and one to stay in shape. And that really comes into play here in terms of like physical, whether it's yoga, whether it's running, whether it's sports, or something, it helps to keep your mind in a good mindset. And that's really what that's the whole point of this whole lecture today, right? So, you know, when you look at your passions, who has a hard time of putting together what their passions might be, or they have who's got a lot of ideas about what you have, about what you want to do? Anyone? Yeah, I do. I obviously do too. So, you know, have you heard of vision boards at all? Anyone use vision boards? Oh, you do, I'm sure. I know. So this vision board, I had all these ideas in my head, and one day they just came out. Like I literally built this vision board in 10 minutes. One day I said, it's like, not throwing up, I will say, but it was just a good exercise to do that, because it really set the stage for me to create all these different things that I'm passionate about, whether or not it's social marketing or IT or neighborly or, you know, other technologies, building communities and things like that too. Personal branding, if you will. Chase the vision, and the money's going to follow you at some point. But the vision is really what it comes down to. I'm not saying chasing money is not going to always work. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that you'll be more fulfilled by chasing the vision, but be practical. Make sure you can make money off it. So I won't go into detail here, but these 5 qualities, a trace of being an entrepreneur: passion, vision, resilience, strong sense of self, flexibility, and vision. That's really what it comes down to with entrepreneurs. Final thoughts. Any questions? Anyone? What's that?
You say you work at the fish market.
Yeah.
Like early on. How did that affect you, like, you know, pursuing a career in IT, in technology? Is it?
So he was asking me is you know, being in the fish store, did that lead to technology and, you know, being an entrepreneur and things like that? The answer is no, it didn't. But what it did for me is that it really, being part of a small brick and mortar business, I then was able to, I figured out that technology was a passion and still is a passion of mine. And then, you know, equating it to how I can help small businesses too, if you will, that's really what the fish store and small businesses influenced me to do. Now, it also, obviously, I had that moment that I knew that I wanted to be an entrepreneur at that fish store too. No one made a difference by being like everyone else. Do you guys know who P.T. Barnum is? It's a good one. P.T. Barnum, they still have the circus, Barnum and Bailey Circus. Oh man. But you know, when you think about it, you know, they would have these freak shows in these circuses and stuff, wildly successful. And probably a lot of people ridiculed him, but coming from him that's a bold statement. You know, just be inspired by, you know, what's out there. Don't be envious, be inspired. So I had a professor at Fordham in graduate school tell me that the world did not revolve around me. And I'm going to tell you guys too, the world does not revolve around you. And I think at your age, that means a lot more. And that was so, once I really came to that conclusion, and he really, really hit that home, you know, that really opened up the idea of empathy, compassion, things like that. And that really set the stage for even these kind of lectures and talking to you guys and other people. You really want to try and empathize with people. You want to try and connect with people and talk to people, if you will. So it's not all about you. Make it all about other people, because you know, when you're when you're doing your jewelry business, when you're doing your marketing business, it's not about you. You obviously want great outcomes, but you want great outcomes. You want great outcomes for your clients, because that in the long run is going to give you a great outcome too. Be kind. Don't be an ass. I mean, that's really comes down to too. I mean, really, if I can put up a slide that says, "Don't be an ass," I would do that, but I'm sure I can. Because let me tell you, karma will come back and kick you right in the face. But it will also turn around and really, it'll provide you big dividends as well. You'll cash in on karma, just being a good person. So just be kind. People want to be with and laugh at yourself. Being able to laugh at yourself. I think that's probably one of my best qualities is, you know, I mean, every day I go through the day of like people sending me, what do they call it, memes? M-E-M-E-S? Exactly. How do you pronounce it? Memes. Oh God. I try not to even think about it, because people send me memes of me like saying stupid things like this. That was perfect. It wasn't planned. I won't even tell you what else they send me, but they do. And even my clients, or you know, my friends and family and things like that too, you want to be able to laugh at yourself, because you want to be confident about yourself, and you want to be able to laugh at yourself, not in a way that you're degrading yourself, but also it just shows you don't really take yourself that seriously either, right? There's really nothing funnier than people that make a mistake like that, and like, oh God, oh, I meant this, or they try and justify what they did because they know they made a mistake, instead of just laughing at yourself. Who knows Gary Vaynerchuk? Anyone? Gary V. Anything is better than zero. Anything. Think about it. If you're gambling, I'm not a gambler, but if you are a gambler, or if you're in the stock market or anything like that, people are losing millions of dollars. If you are up $1, they're envious of you. So anything is better than zero. Any effort is better than no effort. Mentor, right? I mean, That's you. One of my most trusted mentors, and let me tell you something. No one comes out and says, I'm gonna be your mentor. You have to prove yourself to people too, and you have to get people's attention in a good way to do that, for them to then spend the time mentoring and being part of your life. So thank you for that. But also, just so you guys know, seek people out and prove to them that you are worthy for them to spend time with you. I love failure. My kids, I have a 9-year-old and 7-year-old, and how long? 2 years? Okay. My kids, they laugh at me, not laugh, but they're like, Daddy, enough with failure. But have the guts to fail. Have the guts to try again. And dream big, and never give up hope. And that was in my daughter's preschool graduation. They read that book. I love that. I was almost in tears when I saw this. But just dream big, everyone. I always do. And I think that if you don't dream big, if your dreams don't scare you, they're not big enough. And the journey is a reward. And that's it. That makes sense? Thank you.